Hey guys, this is Toby Mathis, and I have Brandon Copeland, Professor Copeland, or what we like to call Cope, and he's here with me. For people who don't know you, can you give them 2 minutes as to who you are, where you come from, and what you represent?
Yeah. Well, one, thank you for having me, Toby. I appreciate you. For me, I'm Brandon Copeland, as you mentioned. I'm a husband. I'm a father of two boys, two little wild things. I'm a real estate developer. I'm a venture capital investor. I'm a philanthropist. I teach at the University of Pennsylvania in my off seasons, and having an off season, I played 10 years in the NFL. I've been on six different teams: the Baltimore Ravens, the Tennessee Titans, the New York Jets, the Detroit Lions, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Patriots. So I've been around the block. And for a lot of people, they would call you in the NFL a journeyman, but doing it for 10 years, at some point you understand that, hey, this thing isn't going to last forever. Between one of those releases or firings or whatever you may call it, right? For me, it was always important to maximize this platform and this opportunity so it could be a trampoline for the rest of my life. And we've been fortunate to have done some pretty cool things. We've done Forbes 30 Under 30. We've done a show on Netflix, Buy My House, which is like a real estate version of Shark Tank. We're working on another show now, and we've built an amazing community for people to learn as we go, learn as we grow. That's the Life 101 community. It's that simple. A lot of people, I went to the University of Pennsylvania and I pitched them on the name for the course. And they're like, Life 101, what does that mean? It is breaking down the money decisions we will have to make in our lives and breaking it down on a one-on-one level because unfortunately, we never get these lessons. No one ever teaches us about these things. So we're all starting at ground zero. And for us, it's been um, one of the most amazing forms of our give back to the world because again you're helping equip people with the tools, the resources, and the knowledge they need to maximize their life's potential and their life's work.
So I just want to make sure people understand. So you played in the NFL, and you actually went back to school and got your degree from the Wharton School of Business, right? Like you were talking about, one of the top business schools on the planet.
Yeah.
And now you teach there, so you're a professor.
Yeah.
And the course that you developed, like, what was the impetus? What caused you to say, hey, you know what? We really need this, and I'm going to fill that need, and here's how I'm going to do it.
Yeah. So for me, so like you said, graduated from Wharton, played 10 years in the league, and year five I decided to go back and start teaching. And for me, what caused that was two things. One, when I came into the NFL in 2013, everybody wanted to start talking to me about money. They wanted to start, hey, why don't we do this with your money? How can we invest it? How can we grow it? All those things. And I always thought, you know, growing up, my favorite song was Back Then by Mike Jones. Back then, you didn't want me. Now I'm hot. You all on me. And I'm like, how come you don't talk to my mom about this? How come you don't talk to my brother about this? So if I twisted my ankle or I stubbed my toe and I couldn't play ever again, you would never teach me about my money. Well, that's a little off. I don't really like that. I'm not better than anyone else. I just happen to have a different job title that makes me attractive, right? But then two, when I bought my first house in 2016. My wife, she called me from the closing office in New Jersey. I was in Detroit playing with the Lions at the time, and they had emailed us the closing disclosure. And she said, "Hey, babe, does everything look right?" And I remember just sitting there scrolling through 106 pages, and I'm like, I have no idea, right? Like all these numbers, I mean, it seems to add up. That's the purchase price. But what's all these different warranty deeds and titles, owner's insurance, and all those things? And so for me, I just always felt like I've gone, like you said, I've gone to the Wharton School of Business. I've been some pretty prestigious schools throughout my life. And the fact that I was facing one of the most important decisions in my life, I'm signing my life over for 30 years at the time. And I had no idea what I was doing, and we had never practiced this, but I knew the tangent of a 45-degree angle. For me, I was like, that's backwards. And so we created the curriculum, we stress tested it, and for me, I could have handed the package off to someone else. However, I was, you know, afraid that somebody would butcher it. Somebody would make the information less digestible. If you don't make this conversational, you don't invite people into the room, then you scare people away from the conversation forever. And so it was extremely important that at least initially we were able to, put my money where my mouth is, roll the sleeves up and actually get in the classroom, get out of my own comfort zone and make money conversational, make it easy to understand. And since then, we've changed some lives legitimately, and hopefully, we just keep changing more for the better.
How many kids? Because I knew you were teaching this in high schools, and that University of Penn got behind it, and the NFL got behind it. But how many
Yeah,
people have you actually been able to, or how about this? How many high schoolers have you been able
yeah,
to have graduate from your program?
yeah. Now it's funny through some of our relationships, over 90,000 at this point, over 90,000 high school students accredited. Um, Yeah, and still rolling, still counting, which is beautiful to say. So we've been blessed. Years ago, on year one, when we created the course, we had every publication come in because it was unheard of. The football player would be teaching in the off seasons and then teaching at Ivy League school. And I remember the Today Show came in and I told them literally, if it's just here 5 years from now, I have royally failed. I want this to be in my high school classroom. I want this to be in a kid in Mississippi's high school classroom. And then we're going to keep working lower. But, 5 years later, we can say we're actually activating on that promise to ourselves, that guarantee.
Yeah, I think it's fair. A lot of things you hear when you work in the world of finance, if you in taxes, is people say, "Why aren't they teaching this in high school?"
Hmm.
And you see people, why aren't they teaching it in college nowadays? Right? There's a lot of people that are college graduates that have no idea. You said the mortgage, but there's a lot of other decisions, like even going in and buying a vehicle, a
Yeah.
car, knowing the difference between a lease, excuse me, a lease and a purchase. And there's all these little distinctions that most people have no idea.
Mm.
And so is the premise that you wouldn't go on the field without practicing, like you'd never go and say, I'm gonna start on Sunday or in the NFL, and you're like, yeah, I haven't practiced this year. I'm just going to go out and play. You never
Right.
do that because you're just going to get crushed. But we do it all the time in money matters individually. So this is a way for them to practice, to be part of a community, so that they don't get wrecked on Sunday.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, like you said, it would be backwards to think that you would show up to that work presentation and have not even thought about it before you walk into the big show, right? And for our money, there's so many things that, again, like I said, in my mind, it seems simple, right? Like it's a constant decision in life, right? It's like you said, it's buying a car, it's
Mhm.
buying a house, renting an apartment, whatever it may be. And for some reason, we don't talk about it. So people keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Like this is simple stuff right here, right? Uh, it's just having a conversation. And that's what we're trying to do. And the one thing I will say about our community is we are not, you know, I tell my students this all the time, is we are Batman has no superpowers. All right. Newsflash. Batman has some money and he's been able to put together a nice suit and he's got a beautiful utility belt. But Batman understands the tools and the weapons he has at his disposal. So when he's faced with a certain problem or villain, he can decide, okay, I'm gonna go with the smoke screen on that one. Oh no, I'm gonna go with the Bat Star, the Ninja Star. Boom, right? And for me, our job and our community's job is not to tell you what to do with your money, right? Your perspective may be different. Your risk tolerance may be different. You might have different issues or family pressures that you have to deal with. But our job is to tell you what you have at your disposal in that utility belt so that now you can make the best decision for yourself and your family at that time. Because you're still going to make, I don't want to, you still may make mistakes, right? I'm still making financial mistakes, right? But it's not a mistake as if, oh, I'm just ignorant to what I'm doing. It's a mistake that I might look back on it and say, man, I wish I would have done this a little differently. It's really at this time with the same set of circumstances, 9 times out of 10, I would have made that same decision over. And if you can do that and say that, then you can live without regret on your money. It's hard when I hear people say, man, when I came out of college, I racked up 7 years of credit card debt. And so I had to spend the next 8, 15 years working myself out of it, right? Why? We can talk about these things and make sure that you don't have to waste time going through those negative experiences with your money.
Now, you come out of the world of the NFL, and do you see this with the players? Because I have a number of clients that are current players or past players, and they oftentimes say that the people descend on you guys when you enter the league. The average career is actually really, really short.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you see people making a lot of mistakes in their first couple of years that they're going to end up having to pay for the rest of their careers?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's the curse of the quote unquote overnight millionaire, right? The lottery winner, right? When you never had this information taught to you, it's pretty hard to do anything correctly the first time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you come into the NFL, like you said, there's so much noise coming at you. There's so many people that are literally looking at you as prey, right? And some people are there for good, right? Some people don't need a thing from you; they just want to help you. But it's also hard to hear and listen to that when you also have another 50 people who are genuinely there to try to, get their next meal ticket. And so you just have to hope that your mistakes, especially when you come into the NFL and you come into big money early, right? Most people make their mistakes over their livelihoods and their career earnings grow over time. For a lot of players, it's you just hit the top of your career earnings and then the rest of your life is downhill. So if you make a mistake initially, that's a pretty expensive mistake. And unfortunately, we see it time and time again. But I will say that there's a lot of people who are doing a little, being more strategic with their money and their spending because they've seen there's more media around about not being, the next person highlighted on 30 for 30 broke.
Yeah. So, is your course being taught to the incoming players? Have they approached you on that and said, "Hey, we want to have the basics so that these guys actually understand the main principles"?
Yeah, so the NFL has not mandated it yet. However, I've been brought in by a number of teams at this point to teach the players. We've created webinars in the off season. We call them mastermind conversations. Our union has hired us as well too to teach, like you said, the basics to people, and it's been extremely helpful to folks. And there's players who reach out all the time, just trying to set up time to talk, set up time to meet, set up time to learn. And again, I'm thankful. And so that's another reason why we built the community is so that we can replicate myself, right? Can we give this information at scale, right? If I have to have one-on-one conversations with everyone and be a father and invest, it's tough. But if we can use our production company and we can partner with folks like yourself, then we can get this information out to the masses so that we don't just bottle it up in here.
We'll get the word out. Don't worry.
There we go.
Hey, when somebody joins up, so they become a member of Life 101, what can they expect?
You can expect a positive community. It's, one, you're going to be immersed in a bunch of different resources and tools that you can use to take advantage of the decisions that you might be currently making, but also more importantly, prepare for decisions that you will be making at some point in your life. I think you can also expect to be motivated. I think one of the things I'm a little husky guy, right? I'm a little husky individual. And for me, when I went on diets for the NFL, for those who don't know, you get fined per pound that you're overweight. They give you a weight limit and you get fined about 500, I want to say $74 per pound that you're overweight. So you can't play around with those fines. I operate better with accountability buddies, right? It's easy for me to go ahead and have a cheat meal, but when other folks and friends and family members on the diet with me, it's a lot easier for me to stay disciplined and stay on path. And I think that that's one of the most important things that you'll get is being surrounded by like-minded people who are all working towards their own visions of positive financial futures for themselves. And the final thing is that a lot of people don't see or don't know. The money is great, and we're going to talk about that, but we will also be adding in a lot of self-esteem work, self-confidence work, motivation, quotes in the mornings, a lot of positivity just so that you can maximize your life, because I've wasted time in my life second guessing myself and doubting my decision making, doubting that instinct in my gut, right? And so for me, that is one thing that is not covered as much or highlighted as much about Life 101, but I want you to be able to walk out of your doors with your head high, your shoulders back, and just knowing that you're attacking the world and you're being the best version of yourself.
Okay, so somebody joins up with Life 101. What's the roadmap for them? Should they just go through? And I know that I've been through the course, so I know that the course is laid out in a way that you can go through boosh, step by step. Do you recognize someone or recommend someone just go through it, or should they have some sort of direction that they go through, skip ahead, do this one, that one, or should they just go through them one at a time?
Yeah, no, first, the course, you should definitely just go through that one at a time. You can do it at your own pace. When you all get into the course, you'll see how it's laid out beautifully. And we try to keep things short and digestible so that you can pause, go handle some business, come back and listen to it and pick it up as needed. Uh, you should also be aware that it's growing, it's evolving. And so we're actively shooting courses right now. We're shooting a whole car buying course in a dealership with a bunch of different salesmen, different opinions on what you should and shouldn't do, right? And so as you become a part of this community, you'll see that things will just continue to build on top of each other, just providing more resources and value for you. And the final thing is, this is, yes, I'm a professor, Ivy League professor at that. We are not talking over your head. We're having a conversation just like this. And so we'll have webinars, we'll have office hours, things of that nature where you can ask any questions that you may have or dive in deeper, but understand that we're at the warm up level, right? And we want to make sure that you're willing to invest in yourself first before you start coming to the webinars and things of that nature and chiming in with questions. No offense, that's great, but make sure you put an investment into yourself and check out the material that we already have out there first.
Yeah, so get in there. You'll be able to see it. It's 1, 2, 3, and a great course. Goes by quick.
Thank you.
You guys did a really good job of making it bite-sized. For somebody who pontificates too much, I can appreciate that. And I'd be like, hey, you're very succinct. You did it really well. Somebody that's gone through it, have you had anybody that went through where you said, hey, they kind of transformed and you saw them go from somebody who's making really bad decisions consistently to somebody who's making excellent decisions consistently?
Yeah, so I'll give you two of my favorite stories from the course. Um, one year we had a young lady who she was actually about to graduate college. And on our first lesson, we go through the budget. And during that experience alone, she saved herself $16,000. And the way she did that, she went through her entire budget. She was going to be a nurse in DC. Originally, she was going to rent, and her rent would have put her negative $14,000 in the hole. Her parents live in DC. So she said, listen, sitting here doing this experience, I might move back in with my mom for a little bit. Might take my time, right? By doing that one decision alone, she was up $2,800 on that year. Now, this was the first class 20-minute walk through a budget. So in that moment alone, she just had that eureka moment of like, okay, maybe I don't need to be a little too cool to live at home with my parents. I also shared with her, as my first 3 years in the NFL in the off season, I went back home and stayed with my mom, this big old NFL player, right? So I was making decisions and making investments in my future life that I wanted for myself. But again, we're sharing our own vulnerable stories, right? That's one thing. The second thing, we had one young lady She's at Peloton now, actually. She graduated and took our course. She was the first year we did our course. She paid down $130,000 in student loan debt in 2 years. She would send us check-ins every few months. She had it all on her whiteboard. She had the start goal. She had how aggressive she was paying it down, and she reached out and thanked us for getting that burden off of her back early. And the one thing that I told her, I was like, I love to see it. I love that energy that you had with paying down that debt. I want you to keep that same energy. And now, what are you doing with that extra surplus of money? Are we investing now? Are we saving for your first home? What are we doing? Right? Keep that same energy. You've proven it to yourself, but to see two people like that, and we're talking 5 figures savings and, 6 figures in debt paid down in a couple of years. I mean, that says that says it all. I've done my job.
Yeah, you're setting some goals and you're showing some people the right way to do things, that they're actually making intelligent decisions as opposed to emotional decisions. So it's really
100%.
interesting. So you went home during the off season and lived with your mom.
Man, I'm telling you. Now, if I wanted to have a night out back in my single bachelor days, I'm married, people. I'm married.
Mhm.
Now, I go home. But if I wanted to have a night out, I could just pay for a hotel, right? But, actually, when you realize, like you said, the NFL is not for long. I've seen guys, my rookie year, I saw a guy have 4 different leases in different places. He got getting traded, he got released, and literally he had a wife and a newborn child. So he wanted them to be with him in every place that he went. And then by the third time we got to us in Tennessee, he said, yeah, you guys are gonna have to stay home. I can't keep taking out these 12-month leases, right? And so I learned. Uh, I've been fortunate to have certain experiences and see certain things that I said, you know what, I'm not going to make that mistake, because the stats, which stats you can make stats say anything, but the stats say 78% of players go broke within 2 to 3 years of retirement. Well, if I know that 78% of us are bound to be living a life that I don't want to live, I can't make the same decisions as you. And so, as we talked about earlier, I want people to understand their why, because if you understand your why, now it's a lot easier for me to avoid those distractions and avoid falling into peer pressure and trying to keep up with the Joneses. I understand why my money is important and my vision for myself, and now I can stay on that path a little bit easier. And that's what we want to do with all of our members of Life 101.
It's interesting. So I'm going to go back to the NFL. Obviously, you just mentioned
Mm-hmm.
a stat. What 70 is it? 70 to 78%
78.
of the players are, you say go broke, but it means that they've gone through their fortune, their signing bonuses and everything else within 2 years of leaving the league, or is it just within
Yep.
2 years?
Within 2 to 3 years of leaving the league, of
Yeah.
retirement. Yeah.
So they're living large while they're playing, and they're trying to keep up with everybody else. And then when they leave, all of a sudden those bad habits follow them, and the next thing you know, they burn through it. What happens to those guys?
It's a great question. I don't want to. Maybe they call me and try to get on the right path, but no, that's a really good question. I'm sure some of them find ways to pick themselves up, but honestly, I wouldn't really know.
We deal with this a lot. As an aside, Brandon, we deal with this a lot in the estate planning, where people are always talking about leaving something to their kids. And
Mm,
sometimes I said it's one of the worst things you could do, because the stats
mm,
for lottery winners and people that have windfalls, they're about as equally as horrific.
mm,
Within 4 years, the bankruptcy rates go up compared to the
mm.
regular public. Like, in other words, giving somebody a short-term windfall oftentimes does more harm to them long term than if you just withheld it,
Right.
right? So it's going to cause some problems. So is your course designed to smooth that out, make sure people don't fall for that? Hey, here's the easy money. No, you just, here's some staking money that you can now get to your investment goals faster. Uh, you
Exactly.
know, what are you positioning yourselves to do with that type of money? What, for the player that comes in and all of a sudden they do get a big signing bonus, or for the person who gets a big inheritance, or who has a business deal that comes through, what's the type of advice you give those people?
Yeah, I want you to first and foremost understand how hard you worked for this money. I mean, obviously, if you hit the lottery, I mean, well, you worked hard. You drove to the station, picked it up, right? But I think that sometimes for us as players, well, a lot of times for us as players, people use the term overnight millionaires. And I've started playing football in fourth grade. I was
Mhm.
working about 12 plus years before I ever got paid to play football. I outworked a lot of people. I outlifted a lot of people. I outran a lot of people. I skipped spring breaks. There were times where in college people were drinking and I would not be drinking. There were times where I'd be taking my tail while interning at UBS in college. I'd go and work out and train and get less sleep than everyone else so that I can invest in myself and make it to the NFL. And then to come into the league and people think you're a quote unquote overnight millionaire, when really I'm a really good investor, you know? And when you think about your money like that and you change your perspective on it, like, well, it's going to be a little harder to just give that away. It wasn't that easy to really make, right? And so for me, I was actually talking with a buddy of mine about this the other day. We talk about, and getting back to your point about the estate planning aspect is, we talk about generational wealth, and what good is that if you aren't educating the next generation, right? And so for those people, like if I'm trying to save all this money to pass it down to my sons and then they get it and they just blow it, well, I might as well have
Mhm.
blown it myself, right?
Mhm.
So what am I doing to provide them with the resources that they need to actually take care of this investment that I've made into them and into their children, right? And so what we're trying to do is provide that playbook, that money playbook, that blueprint, so that you can, like you said, go through some of these things before you actually have to go through these things. Going back to that example of me with the mortgage, when my wife was trying to close on that home in New Jersey and I'm in Detroit, everyone around the table is incentivized for her to just go ahead and sign on the dotted line. Being a real estate investor now and a developer, I have literally saved myself thousands of dollars by now knowing what I'm reading through the closing disclosure. Hey, why are you charging me that? That's $1,400 I shouldn't be paying. Oh, you're right, Mr. Copeland. Oh, wow. Okay. There's literally a home we were about to purchase, a property we were going to convert into a multi-unit rental property near Johns Hopkins Hospital, and they tried to add 7,000, a little over 7,000 extra dollars onto my bill the night before the purchase, and we ended up walking away from the deal, right? But if I had no idea of how to read through those things, I walk away and I lose that money. And I don't know about anybody else out there, but I can use $7,000. All the money I work hard for, I want, and I want to spend it
Mhm.
myself, not just give it away to someone else. And so, all of these decisions matter, and we're just trying to arm you with the information you need to again make them confidently.
So get through the course, go through the course. You're going to learn the basics. You're going to learn some of the bigger events like buying a car, buying a house.
Hmm.
Those types of things are in there. Building up your credit, all those things are in there. What's one takeaway? What's one major takeaway that you want your students that go through this to walk away with?
Mm. My favorite course is the Business of Me, or Me LLC, and that's a lesson that I did not get until I entered the NFL. Right, when you entered the NFL as a Baltimore Raven, at least that was my experience. But people talk about it in other teams as well too. They say you are a Fortune 500 company. You are a business. You are a walking asset. You got to take care of your body. You are the thing that puts food on your family's table, and that's the same thing for all of us. The same thing for you, Toby. That's the same thing for everyone in here. You're the one who keeps the lights on. And so you have to think of yourself as a company. Who's your board of directors? Who's the team around you? Who those people you're surrounding yourselves with? What are your core competencies? What are your strengths, your weaknesses, right? What are you valuing what you do like a business, and are you evaluating your circle as such? And when you flip that switch in your mind, right? For us as athletes, now we consider our social media, we consider our marketing, our brand, right? We consider how we show up in rooms, right? That actually has dollar value, right? And I think for me, I love that lesson because I know that it's something that a lot of people don't get and don't talk about. So I know it's a differentiator, but Two, I also see the light bulb switch for a lot of people to say, oh, you're right. And then you start evaluating the people around you. And you're like, oh, like you're adding value, you're adding value. Every time I call you, it's something negative and pulls me down a little bit. All right, I'm gonna start calling you a little less, right? Or even
Mhm.
practicing saying no, practicing dealing with pressure and things of that nature. And so again, it's life advice. It is those major financial decisions, but it's also like dealing with some of the common themes of being a breadwinner in your circle, a breadwinner in your family. And again, if you don't have the coaching or the circle or the community that can help you feel confident about those things, then you risk derailing your financial future because you're learning about these things on the fly. And most of the time, like I said, when you learn about something for the first time, most of the time you have to make a mistake.
Yeah, there's not too many times when you get to do a dress rehearsal in life. Usually, it's just going to be hitting you really fast and hard, and you gotta, if you haven't been doing your study, you're gonna end up being roadkill. Hey, we really enjoy working with you guys, and we think it's a great it's a great partnership because on the infinity investing side, so often we get people and they're focused just on the making money part, making their money make more money. They're looking at real estate and stock, and a lot of times you're looking at it saying, "Yeah, but if you have a hole in your boat, you're going to have a lot of problems." And this is a great way to patch that up. And we really enjoy the content that you create and the message that you've created to get out there. And we support it 100%, which is why we're so excited to partner with you. Is there anything else that you want to touch on that you're very passionate about, that you want someone to
Yeah.
really understand before they go into Life 101, that they can understand Cope, so they say, all right, who is this guy? What's I get a gist for what's motivating you,
Yeah.
but is there anything else that you could tell people out there that where they can get a little more insight into who you are and why you're doing what you're doing?
Yeah. For me, one, the feeling is very mutual on what you do and this partnership that we have together. Like we're extremely thankful for this relationship, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say that here live. And I think that, like you said, frankly, and this is going to sound really, really egotistical, but I want to relate it to you and what you built with Infinity Investing, and also what we're trying to do in answering your question. We don't have to be doing this. Probably
Nope.
could be a lot more profitable just focusing on myself and being selfish and being a shark, right? But for me, I want to see other people living their dreams. I want to see other people unlock their fullest potential. And so that is what I'm passionate about. This is my legacy and my ripple effect. This is helping me put smiles on faces of people I've never even met. Because if you take our course, it's not just going to impact you, it's going to impact your children or your neighbors or your community. You might be able to donate a little bit more, right, to
Mhm.
your local shelter. And so this is what makes me tick. This is living beyond my lifetime here. And so that's the thing that I would say. I would want people to come into the community and I want you to share it, right? Not selfishly just share it for me and for our community's sake, but more importantly for your community's sake, right? Like when you reach those levels of financial freedom that you're trying to, for I don't know about everyone else, but I want to look around and see my friends and family there as well too. And so it's not just, I tell my students all the time, it's not just about you. It's about us arming you with the information so that you can go out and you can feel comfortable sharing it with your mother, your uncle, your aunt, your cousins, and you can be a change maker in your community. So once you get the gift, don't just keep it to yourself. Share it. Because again, when we all are retired, we're on that financial freedom, we're all doing, we're all on that Life 101 Infinity Investing yacht that we go in together on, right? We want to look around and again see all of the people and all of our loved ones there with us. Not that we had to foot the bill, but they were able to afford it themselves.
There's the old phrase, it's lonely at the top. No, not as long as you bring all your friends and your community and the people that you care about, and then it's not. Then it's absolutely a big old party at the top, and everybody's having a
Amen.
good time. It's just the difference between that scarcity mentality. So many people think it's attrition. We got to waste. I mean, I can only imagine what you went through in the NFL, but I imagine that there's players that are supportive of other players, and there's players who are secretly kind of happy when you sprain your ankle,
Oh yeah.
right? Like, hey, there's
Oh
one
yeah.
less competition for me, right?
Yeah.
And it's just the different mentality. Some people are like, hey, I want everybody to be their best. I want to be at my best with the best, and we're going to elevate everybody's game. And then there's the people that are kind of like, I just want to win at
Right.
all costs. And I
All
think that we're
costs.
firmly in that camp of, we want everybody to be successful. We want everybody to be at their best. That's our calling. I think that's your calling. I think that's why there's a great partnership.
Amen. Amen.
Anything else, Cope?
No, join the community. Join the community. We're excited to see you. We're excited to have fun and also ask questions. I will say this: I don't know everything, and I don't claim to know everything. There's a reason why you hire a realtor to help you buy and sell a home in your area. There's a reason why you hire a financial advisor to help you manage your money, an accountant to help you file your taxes, a credit repair specialist to help you with your credit. We know a lot of people. We're going to have some amazing guests come speak to you all as well too. But there is no dumb question. We've never learned this stuff. So ask any questions that you have, and I promise you, anything I do not know or have an opinion on, I will bring in someone that can give you their professional opinion on it as well. So yeah, don't be shy. Let's have some fun with this. What do you have to lose? Put it like that. That's the biggest thing. I will add that in life, you know, at some point you have to jump and put yourself out there. At some point, you have to take the risk. And so, if you're on the fence, I don't really know if this is for me. I don't make the investment in yourself. Again, take the risk if you're on the fence. And if you're not on the fence, then hey, I will see you soon.